represent the St Edward's ward, which is adjacent to this development and is going to be impacted with it. There's a lot I could say about the development, but part of me wonders whether it's actually going to be built in the first place. I think a lot of the information in the report suggests that actually the scheme isn't viable. When we look at the report from Savills conclude that we can't increase the number of 3-bed properties, the ones we need in Havering, because this will increase the viability deficit. So we're already looking at a development that's not viable. And Cllr, actually, when they reviewed Havering Council's finances, have warned us to start backing away from these debt-funded developments. So whilst I've got a lot of issues with this scheme, I actually don't think it's going to be built, Mr. Chair. I think we're seeking planning permission to increase the land value so we can sell it off in the future. That said, let me tell you what I think's wrong with the scheme. And there are some positives with it as well. First of all, I'm uncomfortable with the low number of social rent homes. I appreciate it's 35% affordable, and that's above what the planning requirement is. But actually what we need in Havering is social homes. And we're only going to get a very small number of social homes. About 10% of these units in total are going to be social rent. Now, Mr. Chair, we have a huge pressure on our local temporary housing budget in Havering. We've got a huge need for social housing. That's what we need to be pushing for, rather than shared ownership and other affordable products. When we go through the planning application, there's some documents submitted from an organisation called Stantec. They come and look at what's been put forward by the likes of TfL, the GLA. There's an interesting comment about parking. All non-disabled and commercial parking has been removed. All. So the commercial section is going to have no parking at all, Mr. Chair. Now, we've got differences of opinion about parking, but I'm unsure that commercial is going to be viable if there is zero parking at all. When it comes to the commercial, the National Planning Policy Framework is quite clear that actually council should be seeking to revitalise and use their existing town centres before developing more. We're not doing that. What we're doing here is adding a huge amount of extra retail and commercial very close to Romford town centre, to my ward. I think that's in contrary to the planning policy, because I think it will harm Romford town centre. So if the commercial is viable, it harms the town centre. If it's not viable, we've built a load of empty shops. I don't think, Mr. Chair, that we should proceed until we have a proper assessment of the commercial need within Romford, so that we can justify these light industrial, commercial and retail spaces. We need that report before this is voted on. There's the underground refuge storage. I think it's a great idea. I like these big underground bins. They work in Europe. You travel around the place. They seem to work well. These will be the only ones in Havering. So we're going to need special equipment and special vehicles just for this one development. So again, before we vote through that we're going to have these URS systems, let's get a report from the council's waste provider to say that within our current contract, they can provide to take those services away. Because otherwise we're going to need new vehicles, and that's going to increase all of the service charges for the residents. I'm intrigued by the plans around the pedestrians and cycle routes. It's good that we're looking at this active travel scheme. But again, the report says, and the TfL say, that the cycling connections are pretty much useless unless we've done the livable streets scheme. The Cabinet member told Council on the 29th of July that the Old Church roundabout scheme might be upgraded as a part of this development, but this planning application says that it relies on the livable streets scheme. So everybody's saying it's somebody else's responsibility. So until that livable streets scheme is delivered, we've got a cycle network that connects to nothing, and we've got a pedestrian network that, in TfL's words, will encourage dangerous crossing. So before we go through and vote for that, Mr. Chair, we need an actually agreed to be delivered livable street scheme in Old Church. A lot of this development relies on things taking place outside of what is proposed in the development. And we have to vote for, or you guys have to vote for, what's in front of you today. And what's in front of you today is a scheme that is relying on other projects that have been cancelled or just aren't going to work. Mr. Chair, I would also recommend that when we talk about the Havering Islamic Centre, we should probably listen to the people that know what goes on in a mosque and refrain from demolishing and evicting the Muslims from their place of worship. Thank you.